Okay, good evening, everyone. It is so beautiful to see so many cast members and a director and a DP, I believe, right?
That's
And
right.
and one of the producers also, producer actor, right?
Produced both.
Thomas, yeah. Anyway, it's
Yes.
fantastic to see you all, guys. It's wonderful. Thank you for being so gracious to accept our invitation. And we are so happy to screen the movie and to have this Q&A with you. Um, I uh, I am going to read your names because I don't know all of you. I know only Thomas Nicholas, producer, actor, and of course Brian, who hammers me all the time for the past 2 years. So I got to know him very, very closely now, and I'm sure he must be the same on the set. And Matt Ryan, Luke Edwards, Shelley Regner, right?
Yes, you got it. It's perfect.
Good. Kelly Arjen,
Yes.
and then Derrick Cohan.
That's right.
I didn't miss anyone. Okay. Welcome, everyone. And you're going to have a great lady doing the moderation. And I love the movie, by the way. Brian knows I did tell him that, and Thomas also. I enjoyed it very, very much. And I thought it was a very intense movie. And really, honestly, I'm very happy to have it on our platform. Pamela will be your moderator. So I'm going to leave Pamela take over from here. Good night, everyone, and thank you, and good luck with the movie.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Having us.
So I was lucky enough to have a nice conversation with Brian a couple of days ago. And so I thought the first question I would ask Brian is what made you write this movie?
What made me write this movie actually was based on a past experience with an ex-girlfriend. Basically, I had an ex-girlfriend that ended up getting herself caught in drugs and hanging out with the wrong crowd and everything along those lines. And so I kind of watched her start to hang out with them, then to become a drug addict and sort of pull away. And it was a kind of an unfortunate thing because we had to unfortunately part ways. And so that was the basis for this. That was the basis for it.
We're having a little feedback here. Something's going on, but
Having a little feedback here.
Okay, and something everybody wants to know is what is the A stand?
Okay, and something everybody wants to know is what is the A stand?
You got that stereo.
The A stands for Alan, actually.
Okay, great.
Got
History solved.
The A stands for Alan. Actually.
I think if we all mute when we're not being asked a question, we'll get rid of that feedback.
I think if we all mute when we're not being
Perfect.
Very good. And Kathleen, if you can do anything, that would be great too, so that people can chime in. But oh well. All right. So I have to be very directed with my questions. Okay. So another burning question, Brian, is tell me the meaning of the Nietzsche quote at the beginning. Why did you choose that?
Well, the meaning.
Remember it? Do I need to repeat
Go
it?
ahead and reread it just in case.
Okay. There is always some madness in. Can't read my own writing. My daughter tells me this all the time. There's always some madness in love, right? But there is also always some reason in madness.
Right. So the Nietzsche quote, basically, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, love and madness are so similarly linked. And obviously Thomas's character, Ethan, he loves his sister so much, and it causes him to go into a rage after what happens to her. So there's that whole part. And then it's just one of those types of situations where I feel that the different emotions and how it plays off from that quote were very similarly matched to the characters in this particular film.
And what was first, the quote or the movie?
The movie was first, but I had been very familiar with this quote for quite some time. And I kept thinking about it. It just kept repeating in my head when I was writing the storyline for this.
Cool. So I'll finish with you in a minute and move on to everybody else. But I know another burning question always is what was the budget and how many days did it take to shoot?
The film's budget was, excuse me, And
Nobody ever answers that question. Nobody.
exactly. No, unfortunately, we can't really answer it right now. We shot for 22 days. I will tell you that the budget was larger than a short film that I did and smaller than Titanic. So that should help.
Very, very unhelpful. Thank you very much,
Welcome.
Brian. I expected nothing less or more than what you told me. Okay, and why and how did you cast yourself as Dante? Bold move, wouldn't you say, gang?
Well, here's a funny thing. I actually tried to give that role away to 3 different actors, and they actually did not want to play that role. And I eventually decided to play it myself. I don't know if we're allowed to say who we tried to give it to or offer it to. No, we better not. Okay, never mind.
Who
so-
nicked that? Is that you, Thomas? No, I want to know. That's okay.
No, but unfortunately, we definitely got a lot of feedback from people saying, I don't want to play that role. I don't want to do that. He's such a horrible character and this and that kind of thing. So eventually I was just like, screw it, I'll play it myself and see what happens with it. I'm good at playing horrible people, so I guess that works.
Well, there are other horrible people that, are in this team, but I hear you're all very nice in person.
Some of us are. No, no. Everyone here is really great and friendly, and it's just
Speak
really
for yourself.
There you go. So I want to ask Derrick, if you don't mind, a couple of questions. So tell me what your challenges were in lighting and DPing this incredible, complex, I would think, locations and things. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we did have a lot of locations. I think the biggest challenge was this was an independent feature, so we didn't have a huge crew or a ton of lighting. So the challenges were how do we make it look polished with limited time and resources. So we kind of I just kind of had to rethink how I work, and I designed things in a way where I could just kind of light sets. And that way the actors can kind of just be in the sets and be lit. And we also used a very sensitive camera that gathers a lot of light. So we didn't have to use big lights or I mean, we did it sometimes, but we were able to shoot things naturally as much as we can. But generally just time and resources is the challenge I always run into, no matter the size of the project. It always never seems to be enough for what it is.
And what's the name of the camera, if you don't mind revealing that?
It was the red Gemini.
With the red, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have filmmakers in our audience that will be.
Sure, yeah.
The look of the film is really quite extraordinary for what I assume is a lower budget movie.
I might just chime in on that and say,
Yes.
I worked on a $60 million budget with a DP named Lloyd Ahern, who touted the phrase "one light, one job," and he had all the resources necessary, and he set up with one light all the time on a 3-camera shoot. So, Derrick, I don't buy it. We had plenty of resources.
And how about that continuous shot? How did that happen?
The fight sequence.
Yes.
Oh yes. So
in sequence.
Sure. Well, that was a collaboration between myself and Brian and Thomas. We knew we were going to do that sequence as a oneer. So we spent the morning blocking it out, and me and Brian there holding like a cell phone and recording it and watching it back, and we just went through step by step until we got it right. And then once we felt comfortable, I put on the Movi and we just started shooting it. And I think we shot it maybe 12 or 13 times. And what take was that we used in the actual, I think it's 7 or something?
Take number 7, correct.
Take number 7, yeah. So we shot it more than we needed to. And, we ran into issues like I bumped into the wall, or maybe like a punch didn't land properly. But I think in the end, it ended up being like a really cool, exciting sequence to watch.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah.
Kudos to all of you. So.
Thank you.
The reason just chiming in too, the reason why we wanted to do it as a one take shot, it didn't work when I was writing it. It didn't work to just go from cut to cut to cut to cut of Thomas going around from room to room to room to room.
Yeah.
And so we had to show it as just a one take so it wouldn't get repetitive over and over again, because how many times are you going to see him going from room to room just killing people and all that type of stuff.
And it was probably faster to do it as a one take versus going into all these rooms and doing the sequence and then covering it. It would have taken, I think it would have taken longer. This only took us like, part of the day to get that.
It was reminiscent of Orson Welles' shortcut on Touch of Evil, where, he was 4 days behind schedule and in one shot got him 2 weeks ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
We just didn't take 4 days to get it.
No.
Love it.
It was pretty quick, but that was a lot of fun to do.
And Thomas, so now that we're on to you, so tell us how was that particular sequence for you, and what was why did you want to play this character? I hear that Brian had his eye on someone else for this character, but you convinced him, yeah? How come?
Well, that sequence, we'll start there, was challenging to say the least, to get the choreography so that, again, it wasn't repetitive.
Right.
And we weren't just doing the same maneuver to work with, each of the different actors that were there on that day and stuntmen and all of that. And, the sweat you see on me is not added by the makeup department, 7 takes in. It was all mine. And I think it was pretty warm that day as well, and no AC really flowing through while, sound is rolling.
Right.
Even though there's no sound ultimately used, which that's probably my funniest piece of information, is that we kept sending the film in and it kept getting rejected for QC because they said, oh, the Foley disappears during that 2.5 minute sequence. We're like, but that's on purpose. It's a creative reason. But every time it failed because they would notice that it didn't do that.
Well, you were on top of it.
True. Yes, they notated that there weren't,
No
punches with a tire iron hitting people's heads.
It's very cathartic, I have to interject, as a podcast member. No, it's totally, I loved it. Which says something about me, but anyway, go ahead.
No, I mean, listen, I loved it too. I got nicknamed by one of our post-production crew members as Tire Iron Nicholas.
Uh-oh, I hope that doesn't stick forever.
That's all right. I dropped the middle name anyway, so I just go by Tire now.
Perfect. So, okay, so then you were a producer first or an actor first in this?
Well, Brian and I have produced a few projects together, a few feature films.
Yeah.
And the last TV pilot that we shot was also with Kelly Arjen. Mm-hmm. So the three of us had worked together. Brian showed me the first rough draft of the script, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I implored him to let me play this character. And he was very uncertain about my ability to pull it off. And no amount of me telling him that drama was my forte and comedy was my weak point when I was a young actor studying, Stanislavski techniques, he didn't want to hear it. So we started into a series of work sessions for several weeks where we delved into what he envisioned for the character, and to the point of changing how I looked and how I sounded and how I moved, until he felt confident that I was going to be able to portray the role. And that's when he agreed to it. And then Kelly Arjen, who obviously plays Mia, because the relationship between the two of us between Ethan and Mia is the cornerstone of the film.
Yeah.
We went into several weeks of rehearsals on our scenes. And Kelly, of course, taught me how to say my lines in Espanol correctly, though I think I still failed quite often, but luckily Brian chose the best takes.
All right, Brian. So, Kelly, I hear you earned your stripes as a producer, that you didn't start out that way.
I'm sorry?
That you earned your stripes as a producer by just being one on the
Yeah,
set.
basically. I started off as an actor, and of course we were doing all the rehearsals with Thomas that he was talking about. But as the production went on, just more and more help was needed. And I actually started off as an associate producer, and then again, more and more help was needed. And Thomas and Brian promoted me to a full producer.
That's so great. And so what were your challenges in playing Mia? Would you say, what was the toughest thing for you to access or do?
I think I mean, it's always tough playing someone who is so different from you. So it's a lot of trying to delve into what is her mindset, what is really what she wants, and the way I discussed it with Brian was that really what she wants is to feel loved, and that is why she keeps maybe going to Lars, because she thinks this is someone who understands her more than Ethan, because Ethan maybe didn't understand her when she was younger. He was kind of a troubled guy. So I'm sorry, I think I'm just rambling now.
That's okay. I don't care.
I just really like how she's just loves Ethan so much, but because of what the mistake that she made, she just can't get. Oh my gosh, I drew a blank.
So I think you're trying to say that she can't redeem herself from the choices that she made, right? Even though she loves her brother, she's kind of screwed up, right?
She did screw up, and she doesn't want him to be involved in it in any way.
Yeah.
But obviously things work out a little different.
Yeah. Well, there's a great love there, obviously, between the two of you, those two characters. So, and now moving on to Matt. What made you want to do both actually Matt and Luke, what made you want to play these bad guys?
Bad guys are always the funnest roles, aren't they? And but I think what was attractive to it as well is, it's not just a two-dimensional character, it's a real three-dimensional character. There's someone we see a little bit in the movie that, his private life where he has a kid, and really that was something that I found fascinating with a character that actually has the ability to kill and works in his line of profession. And that was the thing that really drew me to it, and creating this role with the guys, and was a real joy, really, and yeah.
And what was it like working with Mickey?
It was great. Yeah, it was a really fun time, actually. In the scene we did in the cafe, which was the first time that I worked with him, Mickey is so great, and I learned so much. And there was an intensity between the two of us as soon as we just sat opposite each other, and there was a kind of a fluidity to the way that he worked as well, which kept us both on our toes and just kind of in each other's space and bouncing, not quite knowing what was going to happen. There's that feeling, with him, which really draws the audience in, I feel. And with actors that where you don't quite know what they're going to do next, there's a danger to them. And I really felt that in the room with him, and really played off that. And yeah, I think I learned a lot. It was great.
Great. Yeah, it shows. I mean, I think he's quite incredible in it, even though I'm a big fan. And I knew him when we were both starting out back in the day. And he's always surprising and wonderful at his work. And Luke, why did you want to play this bad guy? He's so bad. And you look much better. You clean up very nicely, I have to say.
Yeah, well, agreed with Matt. The bad the bad guys are the funnest to play. This guy especially, but really every kind of villainous character. For me, the fun is kind of finding the little bits of light in the dark.
There is a lot of humor in the scenes. You're just funny, even though you're killing everybody and really bad. I
You know,
love that.
I don't think anybody's all you know, white or all dark, you know. So it's fun. It's fun to kind of you know, play around with the dark characters and find where they're. You know,
They've all got their reasons, haven't they? All the characters in the movie have their reasons for what they're doing and their objectives, and you always find that those reasons and the things that compel them are actually, you know, they're not evil. They're for good. But this is just where their path in life has led them, and this is their survival mechanism, you know, within these situations, and kind of. That's a really interesting thread as well, I think, with all the characters in the movie and how they've got to the place they are and the journey they go on to kind of for salvation, I suppose. But ultimately don't get there, you know. It's interesting.
Well, they say everybody's the hero in their own story, right?
Yeah.
And Shelley, all the way from Pitch Perfect 3 to Adverse. I mean, how did that happen?
Honestly, this is obviously a very different genre than what I have done in my previous record. But, you know, luckily and fortunately, through personal contacts of Thomas and Brian, I was contacted to audition for this role. And of course, as an actor, you're always like, are they sure they want me for this? They know I like sing and dance, right? And but I was very grateful for the opportunity, and I was more excited, you know, just as with Kelly, of playing a character or having the opportunity to play in a world that is so far from my normal reach. That it kind of scares the mess out of you. And, you know, as actors, I think we're always searching for that challenge and that excitement and adrenaline to do something that scares us so much that we're like, we don't even know. The only way to know if you can do it is by doing it. And so I'm so grateful for this opportunity that Brian and Thomas, you know, allowed me to be a part of.
Yay. All right, way to go, guys. So how did you find Shelley to put her in this?
It was Brian, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. It was Jamie, wasn't it? It's through Jamie who connected us.
Jamie? Well, I thought it was Presley.
Presley. I meant Presley. Jeez, I don't know why I'm saying.
Presley. Who's Jamie?
Yeah, sorry.
You don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, same.
Anyway, there was
Actually has a bit of a cameo in one of the rideshare scenes.
He does. He's a rideshare driver arguing in the back
passenger.
of the car. In the back of the car. So when you guys are watching that, you'll definitely recognize Presley.
Great. Okay, so I have a little bit of a tricky question here. So Mickey and I both studied with Sandra Seacat, who is probably the world's greatest acting coach at the moment. And anyway, she says that everybody on a project has the theme of the project happening in their own life. Now, it's not necessarily the actual events. Thank you. We're not killing people, but there's a connection that you all have because you've all done this movie. So can you think of what that could be?
Do you already have the answer, Pamela? Or
I
is
do
this a quiz, or is there no wrong answer?
There is no wrong answer, but I will tell you I had some thoughts. Do you want to hear my thoughts? Okay.
I do, because I'd like to get into your wavelength so that I'm understanding this, because obviously I have my own interpretation of that due to like the practical aesthetics that I was using on the set to, you know, as a hybrid, thanks to Brian. I had only really been Stanislavski my entire career, and I'd studied Meisner. I saw Uta Hagen speak. I read her books, but Stanislavski and my interpretation of that was my way. Brian had studied Stanislavski, Meisner, and the hybrid of that, which is, you know, of course, practical aesthetics, and so essentially. So we ended up utilizing that on this film, which is my first time,
Nice.
but I don't think I'll ever go back.
All right. Well, okay. So let me just tell you my few thoughts here, which is, okay, so what's been adverse in your life? Or in your way, because the definition, I looked up the definition, aren't I cute, of adverse, which is preventing success or development, harmful, unfavorable. So I would submit that all of you have had some obstacle that you've had to get rid of in your life. And this is a joke question. And are you inspired to knock it down with a tire iron? And that it's about taking a stand, righting wrongs, an eye for an eye, or in this case, several eyes, avenging angel. And Caden appears in Ethan's life, supposedly by chance, but maybe we're all connected. Those are my thoughts as your audience member. Do you have any more you want to?
If I were to take a stab, the whole theme of the film is about choices. And every one of these people that are on this panel and that were involved with the movie made a choice to do this film and get out of their comfort zones. Shelley Regner, who does more singing and comedy, was being brought into this darker drama type situation. Matt Ryan, he's mainly known for Constantine, and he's playing a good guy there. And in this, he plays an evil guy. Luke Edwards, he's played a bad guy before, but he played kind of an interesting, different approach to it that I'd never seen of his work before, and so forth like that. And of course, Tom, who's mainly known for comedy, now doing serious drama and everything like that. So I think it was a conscious decision, and also for you, Derrick, it was a conscious decision for everybody to say, okay, we're going to take a really different approach to this movie and try something different and really step out of our comfort zones. And if you take a look at the cast, we have someone from Wizards of Waverly Place, and then we have Mickey Rourke, and then we have Penelope Ann Miller and Lou Diamond Phillips. Like everybody here, none of this cast you would see together in the same film. Typically, it would not be. It'd be one of those things where you wouldn't expect to see them, but you see them in this film, and they're all out of their comfort zones, trying something new.
I'll also say,
I was just
sorry, Brian.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say one last thing is that I had mainly done horror before this, and I actually got asked to do a sequel to one of my horror movies, but I switched over to doing this crime drama thriller, dramatic piece instead of doing that because I was stepping out of my comfort zone as well. So that's all I was going to say. Sorry, Thomas.
Oh, no, I was just going to also say that, this was Kelly Arjen's, first role of this substance.
Mhm.
And then she stepped up to help us on the production side and became an invaluable asset. So, even though the last one, even though on Strange Ones you worked, and that was a horror genre, so this is a different genre, it still is a new experience, but you went above and beyond. So everyone was making those choices. So I just wanted to add in and give some kudos to our business partner, Brian.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
And Derrick, how about for you in terms of your work? Did you have to stretch yourself on this movie?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, this was an independent production, so we're all trying to find creative ways to keep the quality high without having the biggest crew or the most stuff. Before this, I did mostly commercial work, some documentary projects, some short films, and this was definitely the longest project I worked on up to this point. It was actually my first feature that I shot as well.
Oh, so
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we had to do. Like I just had to rewire the way that I work. Like, if you're working on a commercial, you might have all day to shoot, 5 shots. Whereas this, we're doing a lot more stuff. We've got action, we've got driving, we've got fights.
you got it all.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. But the one thing I would like to commend is that we weren't shooting, we shot 22 days, which is not a ton, but there are independent features that shoot less than that. And I think the page count was not unmanageable. I think it was like at the right number of shoot days. And I thought, okay, so we've got something that's going to help us make the days. And we did. A lot of the days maybe not a lot of them, but there was a good chunk of days where we finished early, which I was surprised of. And yeah. And then also Brian came, Brian was very well organized, and we would have meetings before the day started, and we were able to be like pretty efficient on set. We had a few days that were pretty crazy, just trying to shoot lots of scenes and getting actors throughout different locations and stuff. But for the most part, it was pretty good.
It sounds like it was an enjoyable experience as opposed to a horrible one, correct?
It was not a horrible experience, and it was enjoyable at times, but it was definitely challenging too. There's definitely a lot of challenges, yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of out of questions. So what do you guys want to talk about? Anything more? Brian, do you have more to say?
I was just going to say that Derrick here is an AFI alumni, and he's a spoiled guy. This is a guy who's used to all of his crew and lighting and things a certain way, and so I kind of ripped that out from him and said, no, you can't have this. No, you can't have this. No, you can't have this.
They do spoil you at that school. You get like my thesis film was like out of all this stuff and a huge truck full of lights and all the crew in the world. Granted, it's all students though, so everyone's working for free. So
listen, Derrick, I just want you to know, no matter what the budget is on the next one, you're not getting any more, and we're doing just as much, if not more.
Yes.
Something like a true producer.
Exactly.
Well, and now, can I just ask one more little thing, which is, it's not so little. I mean, how has COVID affected you guys? Because you're not traveling to festivals and things. Are you terribly disappointed? Are you enjoying these Zoom things? What's the deal?
Well, I enjoy the Zoom things, but definitely being in person would have been a lot more fun. We were going to go to Paris to go to the ECU Film Festival. We were heading to Houston to go to World Fest. We did actually manage to make it to Fantas Porto in Portugal. We were the opening film there, and we went there at the end of January before COVID all came down and hit us. But we definitely, we were set for the Beverly Hills Film Festival here, and that didn't happen. We were set for Jellyfest was going to be at AFI, but now it's in New Orleans. We still have several other film festivals. We have one in the UK at Ramsgate Film Festival coming up.
Do you think we'll be able to make it to Oaxaca?
Yeah, Oaxaca is the other big one, which is in Mexico, and that's coming up this summer. And we don't know if that's going to be live or if that's going to be online or what the whole situation is. But we definitely missed out on a lot of film festivals, unfortunately, that we would have loved to have attended. But there's still some more that we could possibly go to.
And when did Lionsgate come in? Recently or a long time ago?
No, they came in around May, June, around that time.
During COVID.
Yeah, during COVID.
But maybe that wouldn't have happened if COVID wasn't happening. You don't know.
Well, what's interesting is actually more difficult to get films acquired during that time.
Really?
Yeah, not easier, but more difficult.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't, but that's the understanding that we ended up having. We did have 4 other offers for distribution for this film domestically, but obviously Lionsgate being the powerhouse that they are in Grindstone, and knowing the kind of films and how they can get it out there, we thought it would be a perfect fit for us. And so we were very ecstatic and excited to be working with them.
And that starts pretty soon, today or in a couple of days, it goes live with them.
On March 9th, it will be out on VOD, DVD, everywhere. And if you go to adversethefilm.com, there's the plug, you'll be able to see us on it, where it exactly is available. It's on Amazon. You can get it at Target, Best Buy, Barnes and Nobles, Redbox, everywhere. So
Walmart,
just all the major places.
Don't forget Walmart.
Exactly.
Or forget Walmart, one or the other. Anyway, anybody else want to talk about anything about the movie, or
just how much of a pleasure it was, and pre-pandemic when I was in Vancouver shooting something and then going down on the weekends to shoot, and thinking back to that time, and now we're all landlocked, and how wonderful that was to be able to do that, and not having that ability now kind of you know, accentuates that more and makes you more grateful for, you know, the making of this movie and the way that it was done, and yeah, and how much of a great experience it was working with all you guys that I worked with, and how much of a bummer it is not being able to meet you other guys that I didn't work with at the festivals. But hopefully I will sometime soon in the future.
Well, life is long, hopefully. We don't all get COVID and die. But just kidding. Just kidding. We're on getting over it. What else did I want to ask you? Oh dear. Did you think that was funny, Tom?
I did. I have a very dark sense of humor. I'm the kind of guy who's laughed at funerals, but not out of like spite, but you know, I just have a dark sense of humor.
Yeah, good. Well, you kind of have to in show business, I think, because it's, you know, it can crush your soul otherwise, right?
It's already been crushed enough times. You can't crush it anymore. So here I am.
And still standing. Yes. The tire iron of show business has been.
Well, this is a new beginning, I think, for me, thanks to, you know, Brian allowing me to show him that I could do it and giving me the chance. This is a turning point. I've been looking for this turning point in my career for probably about 5 or 7 years or so.
Great.
And so this is that moment. So now I'm going to focus on more dramatic work with layered characters that I can show off some more of the tire iron goods.
I like it. So what's next for everybody? I think you guys are working together on something. And did I read that Mickey's working with you, Brian, on something, or you, Thomas? I forget.
So Mickey and I have talked about working on another film project together. He actually gave me a script to one of his projects, and we also talked about doing another crime drama, and it's just based upon schedule and if we can make it work and everything along those lines.
Great.
What I'm personally working on is I have a new TV series that I'm working on with a company called Amyali. That is sort of a fantasy project, and I'm working on a comedy project with some other people. I'm doing another crime drama with a company called Disrupting Influence, and another TV series with another company that I'm not allowed to say as of yet. And we're finalizing a deal right now with a New York Times bestselling author. So that's another project that I'm converting over from book to the screen. And other than that, I just wanted to say Luke Edwards wanted to say a joke to us. Let's get it out.
What is he? What? Who? Luke, what? Did you follow that, Brian? Luke, what did you say?
Luke has a joke he'd like to share with us. Go ahead, Luke.
Go for it, Luke. Is this true? You know, you're still backwards, the adverse, but it's kind of true.
I am?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, darn.
Too late.
I've been enjoying it. You know, you got to have one little flaw in life, you know, to make everything else.
2 posters together looks good.
There you go. But what's the joke? Do you really have a joke? Or is Brian just, jerking your chin?
My spot Brian just dished him up.
I wanted to say something more. He didn't say enough, so I just thought I'd give him the.
Yes, I'd like to hear more too. What are you doing next? Auditioning or?
Yeah, you know, I had, you know, a couple of things that I was kind of trying to get going, which, you know, of course, COVID just put the brakes on it all.
Yeah.
So things that hopefully will resume, you know, when the world starts back up.
That would be good. But no joke? See, you got me all excited.
Oh man, what's the joke? You're leaving us hanging here.
Google something.
Make something up. Improv.
You gotta get it out, Luke.
Somebody help him, my goodness.
So unfair, Brian. I can see that you're just really mean and sadistic.
Yes,
This nice guy thing is not really you. That's okay. But Brian and I are both refugees from Ohio. We both had to leave there quickly.
We did. And for my Ohio family who are going to be watching this later, sorry, but they already know how.
Hey, that's okay. You know, my dad's side of the family was originally from Ohio. My grandfather in Warren and Steubenville.
You have relatives from every state, Tom, so it doesn't count.
Fair enough.
There you go. Well, guys, anything else you want to talk about? Now's your chance.
Well, I just wanted to say it was pretty awesome having my son play Matt Ryan's son in Adverse.
Oh, love it.
Yes, it was. He was great.
He was. The biggest bummer is that no one gets to see this moment that we got to have where we had to pretend not to know one another. It got cut from the sequence because it became a square wheel in the fluidity of the sequence, but he came up to the door as one, as kids normally do, to kind of see what dad is doing. And I end up as Ethan saying hi to him, which is Matt Ryan's. And so we had this moment where we had to pretend not to know one another. And so it was just a fun moment. And for me, it was his second job, but he's having a better year than I am. So not only does he have Lionsgate having put Adverse into theaters later this year, and during COVID, we shot it, or he shot it. I was just a set dad. M. Night's film Old, that's being put out by Universal, will hit theaters July 23rd. Wow. And Nolan is starring in that. They played the trailer for that at the Super Bowl. And I called Kelly and Brian immediately when after 100 million people had seen his face, and I said we should have given Nolan a bigger part in the movie.
Next time.
He was a natural. Really, really, really good.
He'll be hiring all of you in the future, right? Or you'll be trying to get him to hire you, and he'll say, right. No. My son says no to me all the time. It's all right, fine. Go ahead, produce. Don't give your mother a part. It's fine. No, it's not. Anyway, he doesn't watch this. Yeah. So I say good work to all of you. It was really. I watched it twice, which come on, during this time, it's I wanted to. So. Okay, so I'm getting a note in the chat that we're into 40 minutes, so we can hang up now, or we can keep going, whatever you guys want, because they're not kicking us out of the theater. Just kicking us off the Zoom, but not even.
I will say, Pamela, the fact that you watched it twice gives me hope that I just am giggling at the fact that my mother is going to watch this movie, and she's mainly used to seeing me with a bright smile on my face and glitzy costumes. This is quite the detour. So I'm just kind of get a kick out of thinking of her watching her little girl in such a state.
Well, she'll probably be very impressed, because we all are. So there you go.
Oh, thank you.
Brian, you have any closing words or?
I just want to thank everyone for participating and doing this, and it's good to see all of you again. And you guys were all fantastic in this film, and yeah, I want to thank you for all the work that you guys did for this film. So I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, that is true. So. It's always a collaborative.
Thanks. It was a real pleasure as well. As I said before, and watching it today, I really enjoyed it, and it's been a real pleasure being on Zoom with you guys as well.
Yeah, thank you all for coming to join us for the panel, and I'm so excited that some of you got to see it for the first time today. Brian and Kelly and I have seen it a lot more than twice, Pamela.
I'm sure.
More time. I lost count probably about a year ago. Wow. But we're very, very proud of this film, and Pamela, thank you so much for for guiding us through this Q&A and for being here, and so honored to be a part of the Asian World Fest.
Yes, thank you very much, Pamela. You did a great job moderating.
Yeah, thanks, Pamela.
Thank you very much.
It was fun. Thank you so much for having us. Well,
thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Great. Have a great one.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Good luck with it.